Hey everybody, I'm so excited to be joined by my friend Josh. And actually, Josh, I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name. Can you pronounce it for us?
Yeah, it's Siri. So just like the iPhone, I've heard all the jokes. I can hear them again.
Yeah,
So
I'm sure you have. All right, yeah, Josh Siri. And I'm so happy to have you join me for Epic Web Conf. This is going to be year two of Epic Web Conf, and I'm just thrilled to have you be a part of it. You're going to be giving a talk, learning driven development, that I think is a really, just the title itself speaks to me very well. So when I saw that submission, I was like, yeah, that one is going to be good for people. So yeah, I'm excited to get to know you. We haven't actually, I think this is the first time we've talked,
yeah.
and we haven't actually met in person. So let's get to know you a little bit, Josh. Can you give us a little intro?
Yeah, yeah, super pumped to be able to have the opportunity to be at Epic Web Conf. I've been a huge fan of you, Kent, and just everything that you've done for the web development community as a whole. But yeah, a little bit about me is I have kind of been in the web development world, kind of adjacent world for a little bit of time, maybe like 8, 9 years or so, but really dove into the tech world, and most recently as a dev role at Laravel in the last DevRel Laravel last year, but more recently, like doing more content stuff in the last couple of years as well. So kind of been in and around the tech world. But I come from Phoenix, Arizona, where I live. I'm a dad of two girls, and been married to my wife for 5 years, and that's a big part of who I am and what I do. And I just love being able to build things on the web, and that's really why I have submitted this talk in a lot of ways. Is what does it mean for me to build things and learn as I build?
Yeah, love it. Before we get too much into that, I also want to call out that you had in a previous life were in a stage productions a lot. Do you want to tell us a little bit about some of that?
Yeah, I feel like I'm one of those people that I still know what I'm gonna be when I grow up, kind of thing. So like I had a lot of ideas of what I wanted to do out of through high school and college. I did a lot of like musical kind of stuff. I still do music on the sides, like I play music at my church every week, that kind of thing. But I do a lot of plays, or did a lot of plays in high school and college. And in college, I after I did musicals, I went to school in Chicago, and then I thought I was going to be in SNL. That was like what my dream was for the longest time. Was
Wow.
I went the whole sketch comedy route of kind of climbing the ranks of a place called Second City in Chicago, which is kind of like the breeding grounds, I guess, for a lot of SNL folks. Um,
Mm,
and then the that didn't quite pan out because it's a lot of like who how much
mm,
are you willing to put in the work, and tech was a little bit easier to fall back into
mm.
through all of that. But like I still love plays. I still love like acting, and for the longest time I was on the other side of the camera doing, you know, being an actor. Now I got to learn about, okay, what's on the other side of the camera, like actually filming myself and doing all this. Completely different, because you're not actually playing a character. So it's a lot of tough work to find, okay, who am I as an actual person, rather than just trying
Yeah.
to pretend to be a developer telling you what to do.
Yeah, yeah. That makes me just think of the character Shalon in Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive. I don't know if you've read any of those books,
I
but
have just started reading them. I think I don't know if it was like your tweets or something like that, but I hadn't heard the name of Brandon Sanderson. And about in the last year, I started reading through the series, through the
oh, okay, yeah, very cool. Yeah, she has this doesn't really spoil too much, but she kind of has this multiple personality thing that she goes through, and it makes what you said, like, who am I? I've played other people so much, and like trying to figure out your own voice and all of that. I think is yeah, it's a fun challenge.
Oh yeah, like for the longest time, my wife and just people who like knew me personally, when I would get on stage to do like either just talks or just like short talks and stuff like that, a lot of times they're like, you're. It sounds like you're acting as someone,
Uh,
but you're not like being yourself. So it took a really long time, both on video and like on stage, to be able to say like, okay, I'm writing out this script, but it's not me writing out a script for a character. It's just me having a conversation.
Yeah. That's tricky, but I love your background. I also have a background in show choir and theater.
It's
Not
so
a
much
lot of
fun.
theater. You definitely did a lot more theater than I ever did. But I actually just this last Tuesday auditioned to be a part of a community choir in the area,
That's
and then
awesome.
I'm also in church choirs and things. So yeah, music is big for me. We'll have karaoke at the conference, and so
There we go.
maybe we can pull out some Broadway. That'd be fun.
Yeah, we'll do a
Um,
little like a Broadway duet. We can do that. I'm
yeah.
down.
Like we could do Confrontation from Les Mis. I don't
Oh,
know
there
if
you
you
go.
want to be Javert or Valjean, but
Yeah. Javert is probably a little bit better for me. I'm more baritone. I feel like you'd probably more like tenor. So like it
uh-huh,
might be a
yeah,
good mix of both of us.
yeah. Awesome. Hey, cool. So at the conference, you're going to be giving the talk learning driven development. Can you give us kind of a brief overview of what you're kind of thinking for that talk and what people can expect to get out of that?
Yeah, learning driven development really comes out of this process that eventually learned, at least for myself, of like what is it, uh, the idea of how do you learn. And I think that that's a huge concept that a lot of people don't really take time to think through. And I think
Mm,
it's important to really understand how you learn best in order to improve as a developer, as a person, as a professional. A lot of times, like, you hear it all the time, but you don't necessarily know and put it into practice of like, oh, I should be learning something new every single day, or like in order to be, get that next job, or in order to get that promotion, or in order to just be a better, father, husband, person in general. Most of the times you have to learn how to do those things. And I think the key to that is actually knowing what works best for you in learning. And I'm kind of like, through this talk, I want to present the idea of what does it look like to learn by not by having specific structures of, oh, I want to learn Rust, or I want to learn Go. Those are great ideas and concepts, but at the same time,
mm,
you don't really know where to start. You get into, a lot of people say like the tutorial hell kind of thing of like, I don't know how to escape all of this.
mhm,
And I think learning driven development comes from this concept of, well, instead of having this idea that you want to, or instead of having this idea of I want to accomplish this, or I want to learn this, or I want to be a better programmer, it really comes down to, um, well, I want to build this thing, or I want to build a chat GPT clone. Well, all of a sudden now you have this process to know, okay, well, how am I going to stream in answers? And then you learn, okay, well, what is streaming? And you take this step back of saying, it's less about I want to learn how to do streaming in React. No one kind of says, I'm just going to go about and learn streaming today.
right.
But when you kind of pair it with, I have this process, or I have this end goal in mind, or I have this idea, or I want to, use this in my real life application, or real life, um, kind of like process, or your daily life, all of a sudden it becomes more real to you, and the learning sticks a lot better.
There, I that resonates so well with me, and
Yeah.
that is 100% the way that I recommend people do learning. You might even say that it's not so much learning driven development as it is development driven learning, almost,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
but they kind of feed into each other as well, right? Like you decide, okay, I want to learn Go, and so like let's find out, see what people say Go is good for, or maybe I'm gonna just bend it to my will and do something that it's not good for. But
Yeah.
so like you just identify that's the thing I want to learn. Now let's find a project that I can use to force myself into scenarios where I need to learn it,
Mm.
rather than just like going through a million tutorials. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited to see this talk, and I think that it's going to be really excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. I think just kind of just what you said. Like, I think a lot of the tutorials that you put out, for example, are kind of based around the idea of, it's less about, the end goal, and more about what you've learned along the steps to get there. And I think curiosity really is the core kindling to this fire of learning driven development, or development driven learning, in a lot of ways, because it really stems down to, I think, to be a better learner, regardless of if you're a developer or just a professional. A lot of ways, it comes down to like, oh, like how does that work? Or someone else did that. How can I do that? Like I think most of the things that I've learned, whether it's like music or acting and improv, or how comedy works, or just simple little development things like in uh, Google Meet, for example, you can't when you maximize the screen, or like in your another screen, um, it doesn't let you hide that screen
Oh yeah,
in the
so it goes
monitor. It kind of
infinite.
like it magnetizes to the corner of the screen. I'm like, oh, that'd be really cool to learn how to do. I don't know how to do it, but
Mm.
that'd be really cool to learn how to do. And I think everything that I've learned about life, about cameras, about everything in between has just kind of been like, oh, like how does that work?
Yeah, yeah, that curiosity is key. So when we're at the conference, people are going to be curious about you, Josh. So, I'm actually curious. What is it that motivates you to make the trip to go to conferences
Hmm.
to like prepare the talks or whatever? What is it? Why is it important to you to meet people in person? Like, why can't you just be content with being in your little office and recording videos? Why do you have to like go out into the world?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's a great question. I think the answer lies in because like that curiosity dr- drives into getting to know people better, and it's one of those
Mm.
things where I felt like I knew you, for example, just from your tweets, or just being able to like interact through your newsletter, and even jumping into stream stuff like that. But being able to jump onto this call is like another step, and being able to be in person, all of a sudden the interactions that you then have after that, of maybe it's just interactions on X, Twitter, or maybe it's like interactions via email or streams or whatever that might be, all of a sudden they have a little bit more meaning, because the personalities, what drives that person, um, maybe it's even small little personal details of like they mentioned a book they were reading, or something like a TV show that really stood out to them. All of a sudden it carries more weight outside of in-person relationships, and that's why I think really I love about conferences specifically, but then also just being able to interact with people at conferences, because it makes the world that we all live in of interacting online that much more valuable, because we know what drives that person, what is it's not just about what that person is learning anymore. It's why are they learning it.
Mm, that is so good. I'm gonna like take a snapshot of what you just said and post that by itself. That is exactly one of the major benefits of meeting people in person. Like I often say, there are some people in the world that I know online that I don't really get along with super well necessarily. Like we're not buds or anything. We're not. I try not to have enemies, but like there are
Yeah.
people I just like don't really jive with. But I meet them in person, and even if we continue to not jive with each other thereafter, I understand them so much better.
Mm.
And like when they say things, I can kind of hear it in their voice, even though like it's just text. It just improves the relationship no matter what, whether the relationship is good or amazing or not good. The relationship is improved because we met in person. So I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you.
Yeah,
uh,
no, that's a great way to think about it. Is your relationships improved regardless of that, like just like you said, because I think there's so many things that we can disagree on so much, but at the same time there are going to be, if you're at a conference especially with someone, you probably have at least one similarity, maybe
yeah.
two or more. And I think being able to find those things that excite you about each other means that you have the opportunity to interact with their personalities, their content, their the musings outside of that
Mm.
even more, because now you understand where they're coming from.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, you coming to my conference, which is primarily JavaScript full stack sort of conference, and you being a DevRel at Laravel kind of speaks to that as well. As you can kind of demonstrate how much we have that's similar and how much we can learn from each other, which I think is just it's awesome.
Yeah.
So I have one more question for you, Josh. When you're standing around at the conference during the hallway track, we have extended breaks. Like the point of the conference is to get people together. Um, what, like, people are going to want to come up and talk with you. What's something that they could talk with you about that would get you really excited to talk?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I feel like I have a lot of different topics that we can talk about. Maybe I'll go for one like developer related topic and then one like non-developer related topic. That
Sure.
way people can take their pick. One developer related topic I would say is I love Svelte. Svelte is one of those things where I know this is like most of the people that are probably going to be like React based folks, but I love the tech that is kind of like outside of a lot of like the core development. So like whether it be Svelte, Solid, or something like that. I love thinking through those ideas and kind of like what you said. What can we learn from what Svelte or what Solid is doing? Like I think there's so many things to learn from that. So like I guess that would be one tech conference or tech subject. Outside of that, if you are a geek or a nerd about anything like videos, cameras, audio, or music, I am willing to chat and geek out with you about specifics of a guitar or or microphones or whatever that might be. I'm always willing to chat about that. I guess a third topic would be like um, anything kind of like movies or TV show related. I'm down to chat with that as well.
Cool.
I know
Good.
those are
Hey,
super
that's
general,
awesome.
super broad, but
Yeah, yeah. You're a very approachable person.
yeah, I can chat about anything. You just tell me what your favorite topic is, and I'll find a way to help you.
That's great. So you're people, go and talk to Josh at Epic Web Conf in March. This is going to be so sweet. Thank you so much, Josh, for giving us some of your time, and we'll see you all in Utah in March. Bye.